And I'm not the only one, Adam. It's that microphone. It heats all of us.
Well, thank you for that introduction, Pastor Rod. Good morning.
Good morning.
If you don't know me yet, I would love to get to know you guys. And once you do, you might come to know that I can be sarcastic, very sarcastic. As the youth, you probably know, right? Yeah. But, you know, my brother was that way growing up. I was around kids at school that were sarcastic, and that's just what I'm used to, sarcasm. But in college, my friends and I always had a line, and we called it the salt line. You know, it was, okay, you crossed the line. You're not funny anymore, now you're just being salty, which is another way of saying you're being a jerk. You know, and that's when we knew enough's enough. And it eventually got to the point to where we didn't want to talk to each other anymore until they figured out that they were being salty. And so my friend created this image that we could just text bomb them. David, you want to throw that image up?
Yeah, give us a...
All these flavors, and you chose to be salty. So they would just get text bombed with this image, and they'd know, all right, I was a jerk. That's enough. And I mean, we just use sarcasm. Like even just getting out of bed, it happened. I don't know how. You can't think that early in the morning. But anyways, while now being salty is seen as a bad thing, it had a different connotation in Jesus' time. Turn with me, if you will, to Matthew 5:13. Want to throw it up there? It should be on there. All right. What did you minute to get there? All right. Matthew 5:13 says, "You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot." Jesus says we're the salt of the earth. What does that mean? What does it mean to be salt? We're numerous. I mean, there's a lot of salt in a salt shaker, right? Maybe. We're common. Everyone has salt on their table. I'm sure they do. But I don't think that's what he means by that. There's going to be three things that I want to look at today and what it means to be salt. The first, salt is a preservative. Salt is a preservative. Before modern refrigeration, people would, rub salt into their meats and stuff to prevent it from decaying as quickly, to stop it from spoiling as much. And as salt, that's what we're to do to this world. We're to preserve it. Our world is decaying. Our world is spoiling. And we're here to preserve the way of God's kingdom. We're meant to preserve it. But how are we to act as preservatives? Because, that's a big task. That's a really big task. So how do we do that? Romans 12:2. If you want to flip there. David's got it on the screen. Yep. It says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect." Okay, so we don't conform to the world. What does that mean? Do we become hermits, go live in a cave, keep us completely separate from this world? No, I mean, we just set ourselves apart. Well, that's still really vague to me, at least. I mean, so then I think Paul in Philippians 4:8 gives a great description of how we're to transform our minds. And that says, "Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things." So we preserve the way of God's kingdom by thinking on these things. Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, all these things. Paul makes out a list, like these are the things you need to think about. This is how you transform your mind. This is how you preserve God's kingdom on earth. Sorry. My second point, salt has value. Salt is valuable. I remember growing up on our Windows 98 computer, it's old, we had this game, Where in Time is Harming San Diego. I remember on one of the missions, we had to help this caravan get across the desert. But before we could do that, he sent us on this little mission to get salt. He gives this big ornate statue, and he's like, it was gold. He's like, go have this melted down and trade it for salt. And as a kid, I'm like, why am I trading gold for salt? That doesn't make sense. Gold is so much more valuable than salt. But that's because we think in a gold standard. You know, our stuff, gold to us is valuable. But back then, salt was valuable. I don't think you guys know, but the word salary is actually derived from the Latin word salarium, which means salt. That's where we got our word salary, from salt. It was believed that Roman soldiers were actually paid in salt. That was their value. That was where their value was. I don't know if any of you have ever heard the saying, someone's worth their salt. You know, salt is valuable. Salt has value. To further illustrate that, let's look at 1 Corinthians 6:20. For you were bought at a price, therefore honor God with your bodies. I want to look at that first part. You were bought with a price. And what was that price that we were bought for? Jesus gave his life for us. The price that was paid was blood. It was another life for our own. And I don't know about you guys, but when I buy something myself, I take better care of it than if it was given to me. You know, because I value that thing more. It's like I paid for this. I saw the exchange happen. And so I'm going to take care of this because, you know, I worked for this. So how much more valuable are we then if the price that was paid for us was another life? How valuable are we? That's huge. God values us so much that he gave a life for us. And then my third point, salt causes thirst. All right, we had the 50 swing this weekend. It was a lot of fun. We had onion rings and french fries, and they were incredible. They were the best thing ever. I like to put salt on my stuff, a lot of it. And you can ask Aaron, 5, 7, 10 minutes later, what was I doing? Buying a bottle of water. Salt makes you thirsty. Let's look at John 4 through 14. John 4 through 14 says, now he had to go through Samaria. So he came to a town in Samaria called Sychar, near the plot of ground Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired as he was from the journey, sat down by the well. It was about noon. When a Samaritan woman came to draw water, Jesus said to her, will you give me a drink? His disciples had gone into the town to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, you are a Jew, and I am a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink? For Jews do not associate with Samaritans. Jesus answered her, if you knew the gift of God and who it is that asked you for a drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water. Sir, the woman said, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where can you get this living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the well and drank from it himself, as did also his sons and his livestock? Jesus answered, everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again. But whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will become in them a spring of water welling up to eternal life. Salt causes thirst. So as the salt of the earth, we're to cause a thirst in people. And what are we supposed to make them thirsty for? The living water, the well of living water that is Jesus. When people look at us, they need to see Jesus and be like, I want that. Kind of like I was at the 50s, saw the bottle of water. I want that. So that's what salt does. It causes a thirst. And we need to be so salty that people are thirsty the minute they're around us, that they're like, I want that. I need a drink. I need a drink from this well. So we've seen what it means to be salt, but Jesus also gives a warning in Matthew 5:13. You want to go back to that, David? Matthew 5:13. You're the salt of the earth. We already looked at that. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. So, Jesus is saying if the salt loses its saltiness, it's useless. Now, scientifically speaking, salt can't lose its saltiness. Have you ever had unsalty salt? I haven't. Salt can't lose its saltiness. It's a stable compound that salt stays salty. But where they would get their salt from in biblical times was most likely the Dead Sea. And with that, it wasn't pure salt like we have now. It would get mixed with all these other minerals, all these other just stuff that's in the ocean. And so when the water would float, it would actually wash the salt out of this clump, and they'd be left with everything else but the salt. So my question is, when the waves of life are flowing through us, are we losing our saltiness? Are we losing our salt when life flows through us? So I want to challenge you today to ask God this week, to pray to God this week and ask Him, reveal one thing in my life that is causing me to lose my saltiness, that is causing me to not be my full salty self. And then ask Him to help you work on that, to reveal it, and then ask Him to remove it. Because I believe He will. So, sorry. So let's pray. Lord, I thank you for today and for everyone that's here and for the message that you gave me to share. And I just pray, God, that you just reveal in their lives this week something that is salty or something that's causing them to lose their saltiness, and just work with them on that, God, and begin to remove that from their life so that they can be the salt that they're meant to be for the kingdom of God, so that they can preserve this world, so they can realize that they have value, so that they can cause a thirst in others, God. I thank you for that, and I praise you in your name. Amen.